Arnab Goswami, the language that you are speaking is not inherited by your grandparents. It is a foreign language that you are speaking out, and you are drawing money and your livelihood because you got a language from outside of India. So you cannot just say that everything from outside of India is a wrong thing. And you cannot think of saying that FCRA is also wrong because you are also a beneficiary of FCRA. So all your arguments are baseless. Arnab Goswami, Republic Media Network, and the FCRA Files Part 2 broadcast, seriously allegations were raised concerning the Timothy Initiative, TTI foreign funding, allied religious conversions, Maoist affected areas, foreign debit cards, and potential violations of Indian laws. These allegations warrant a thorough investigation. If any individual or organization has violated the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, or FCRA, FEMA, the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, the UPA, or any other Indian law, the authorities must investigate through due legal process and take action if guilt is proven. Christians do not need to fear a lawful investigation. However, another fundamental principle is equally vital. An investigation is not a conviction. More importantly, allegations against a single organization cannot be turned into an indictment against Christianity, Christian missions, Christian humanitarian services, or the constitutional right to propagate religion. This distinction is crucial. First one, I wanted to mention about what has actually been proven regarding the Timothy Initiative. Though I don't have any touch with them or any connection with this Timothy Initiative, I don't know who they are all, but I have just gone through their papers and I found out some of the legal things. A genuine investigation is underway. In a Karnataka High Court ruling, it was noted that the Enforcement Directorate (ED) alleged that approximately rupees 92.55 crore was withdrawn using international debit cards between November 2025 and April 2026. Similarly, the ED alleged about rupees 40 crore was withdrawn in Chhattisgarh and Assam between January 2024 and March 2026. Other allegations concerning TTI and certain individuals were also noted in the ruling. These all the things are referred in the Karnataka High Court ruling live law PDF. You can just search it and find out it. This is a serious matter. However, we must carefully understand what the court actually stated. At this stage, the court examined whether the prima facie facts were sufficient to warrant an investigation. The court made it explicitly clear that its intention was not to issue a final verdict of guilt. It also stated that its observations do not constitute a final judgment that would prejudice the ongoing investigation. Therefore, the intellectually honest statement is: serious allegations involving financial and other legal violations linked to TTI and certain individuals are under investigations. The intellectually dishonest statement made by Arnab, the court proved that Christianity is running a conversion racket. The court proved no such thing, Mr. Arnab Goswami. For your kind information, you just go through that articles. Second one, the investigation into TTI is not an investigation into Christianity. This is the core flaw in Arnab's presentation. The Timothy Initiative is a Christian organization. However, Christianity is not a single organization. Christianity is a vast global faith comprising billions of believers, churches, denominations, missionaries, charities, educational institutions, hospitals, rehabilitation centers, and individual believers. If TTI is proven guilty, the irresponsible individuals must answer for it. But that does not mean all Christian missionaries are guilty. All Christian NGOs are suspicious. All foreign funded Christian organizations are illicit. All evangelism is a conversion racket. All church planting operations are threats to national security. That would be collective guilt. That is not justice, Mr. Arnab Goswami. The same principle must apply equally to all religions. If a Hindu organization commits financial crime, Hinduism is not guilty. If a Muslim organization commits a financial crime, Islam is not guilty. Similarly, if a Christian organization commits a crime, Christianity is not guilty. Guilt must be tied to the wrongdoer, not to an entire religion. Is a church in every village inherently a crime? Arnab repeatedly highlighted on Republic TV that TTI's stated goal is to establish a church in every village. This is undoubtedly an evangelistic objective. However, merely having an evangelistic objective does not make it a crime. Article 25 of Indian Constitution guarantees the freedom of conscience and the right freely to profess, practice and propagate religion, subject to public order, morality and health. You can check in Indian Constitution, India Code. The Supreme Court has also clarified that the term propaganda is used to explain and spread the tenets of a religion. That also you can refer in Stainless versus State of Madhya Pradesh, Indian Canon. Therefore, we want a church in every village may be a missionary goal, but that is itself is not proof. Our goal is to illegally convert every single person in every village. These two are entirely different things, Mr. Arnab Goswami. If force, fraud, or unlawful enticement took place, evidence should be presented and the guilty brought to justice. However, an evangelistic vision cannot simply be branded as a criminal conspiracy. Fourth one, the crucial distinction defined by the Supreme Court. This is one of the most important aspects of issue. In the case of Reverend Stainless versus State of Madhya Pradesh, the Supreme Court clarified that while Article 25 protects the right to propagate religion, it does not grant a fundamental right to convert another person. At the same time, the court upheld the state's power to legislate against conversions brought about by force, fraud, or inducement. That also you can refer in your Indian Canon. Therefore, as Christians, we state very clearly, we do not support forced conversions. We do not support fraudulent conversions. We do not support conversions by coercion. We do not support unlawful inducement. However, another point must be stated alongside this. Proclamation of the gospel plus voluntary acceptance of faith must not be equated with the force plus fraud plus coercion. When an individual hears the gospel, voluntarily believes in Jesus Christ and become a Christian, that is that individual's personal choice. Conversely, threatening, defrauding, or illegally paying someone to change their religion is a wrongdoing. Those who do so should certainly be punished. If such practices occur under the guise of garvopasi or any other moment, they too must be investigated and brought before the law if proven guilty. Mr. Arnab Goswami, I challenge you in this point. Can you just think about the garvopasi that is going on in all across India? Many places, many garvopasis occurring and many people are forcefully reconverting. How you think about how these people are doing it? Can you make an investigation on that and bring out all the facts about it? You don't have the courage for that. I challenge you. Arnab arguments exploiting the poor. That is a fifth point. The allegation that poor and vulnerable people are being converted using money, medical care, promises of healing and psychological pressure is a deeply emotional claim. If such things have happened, it is not only wrong, it is a crime. Christianity condemns the exploitation of the poor. In the Bible, James chapter 2 verses 1 to 6 very clearly warns against showing discrimination to the poor. Also, in the book of Proverbs, in the Bible, chapter 14 verse 31 states, whoever opposes the poor shows contempt for their maker. Jesus Christ showed deep compassion for the hungry, the thirsty, the sick, the imprisoned, and the suffering. He comforted them, fed them, and healed them. Therefore, the true Christian response is, if anyone has exploited the poor, identify that individual, show the transaction, identify the victim, show the evidence, and if guilt is proven, take legal action. However, Christians helped some poor families does not prove that the help was a bribe for religious conversion. Evidence is required, Mr. Arnab Goswami. You cannot simply narrate some stories and make allegations or accusations on Christian communities. We are here to challenge you for that. If assistance was explicitly made conditional upon changing one's religion, that is indeed wrong. And sixth point that you brought out, humanitarian services and evangelism are not inherently criminal. Yes, Mr. Arnasamy, it is not criminal. Historically, Christian missions have combined the proclamation of the gospel with compassion and service. Jesus Christ preached the kingdom of God while healing the sick, feeding the hungry, and showing mercy to the suffering. Therefore, the Christian model is proclamation of the word plus deeds of service. Just because a Christian helps a poor family, it does not follow that the sole purpose was to convert the family. If an organization states, we will give you this much amount only if you become a Christian, that is punishable. However, if a Christian organization states, we are Christians because Christ commanded us to love our neighbor and we are helping you, how can that be a criminal, Mr. Arnab Goswami? These two must not be intentionally conflicted. The allegations regarding the Joshua project must be examined closely. That is your 8th allegations. Arnab presented the Joshua Project as a dangerous organization that poses India's caste map for the purpose of religious conversion. The Joshua Project's own documentation indicates that it collects detailed information on various people groups, including caste and social categories in South Asia, and to define these populations. You can refer in their Joshua Project using caste to define peoples in South India. The Joshua Project database on India also includes various demographic details such as religion, language, and population figures. That also you can find out from their project reports and references. Subjecting this to legal and ethical scrutiny is fair. However, making the leap from the Joshua Project to map caste-based people groups to, therefore, the Joshua Project is a criminal conversion operation is a massive leap unsupported by evidence. Mapping population is not inherently a crime. Missionary organizations have historically studied languages, cultures, people groups, and geographical distributions because knowing where people live and what language they speak is necessary for mission work. Therefore, the question is to ask is not, does an organization map people groups? The real question for investigations to answer is, what does that organization actually do with the information? Does it violate Indian law? Arnab Goswami, the language that you are speaking is not inherited by your grandparents. It is a foreign language that you are speaking out, and you are drawing money and your livelihood because you got a language from outside of India. So you cannot just say that everything from outside of India is a wrong thing. And you cannot think of saying that FCRA is also wrong because you are also a beneficiary of FCRA. So all your arguments are baseless and that is all nullified by all these statements. And I challenge you, if you can make an inquiry that happened very recently there in Uttarakhand regarding our Honorable Mallikarjun Kharge. What had happened over there after he comes from that state? Sort of people, they made sort of things which is very illegal things and very ugly things. Can you talk about it? You cannot because you have already submitted your mind and your understandings and all your capacity of your brain to certain political field. So you cannot stand firmly and talk against the illegal things that is going on in India. But you can just like cherry picking, you can pick out certain things from here and there and blame the Christian communities because we are very minorities and we will not respond in negative. Therefore, you are very much taking the advantage. Sorry, Mr. Arnab Goswami, you are too cheap in this regards. Thank you very much.